Now, Hugh Napier started work at Penryn Quarry more than 100 years ago, and today he got a new job as a tourist attraction.
Yes, Hugh, I should explain, is a steam train with a remarkable past that reveals one man's passion to restore him to life after being left to rot in a North Wales railway siding. Rob Shelley reports from Porthmadog Harbour Station, where the train returned to service today.
His name's Hugh. He's quite sprightly for a pensioner running along the cob at Porthmadog, and even aged 108, he sounds happy to be working again. Hugh never got a welcome like this when he spent half a century hauling slate in the Penryn quarries. It was all the way back in 1954 that he was considered worn out and literally sidelined, left on the siding to rust for a decade. Then he became a museum piece in Penryn Castle.
It's been ongoing for years. Of course, it was my predecessor that arranged everything. He got the collection. He spent years and years getting parts put together.
David's predecessor, Yrrwr Jones, never gave up trying to turn Hugh Napier back from an exhibit into a living, breathing steam engine again. He gathered engine parts like a giant Meccano set and spent 30 years working on the project, but died before the Ffestiniog Railway's engineers made his dream a reality.
It's a pity that Yrrwr isn't with us, but I'm sure he's with us in spirit, and he would be delighted to have seen that this has actually happened.
As the old steam engine made his stately way from Porthmadog to Beddgelert today, there was one old friend present though. Gareth Williams was a teenager in the quarries when he first drove Hugh Napier in the 50s. He was on the footplate as the engine arrived this morning. Now they're both pensioners together.
Affects me in speaking to them, you know, I feel, I don't know, sad and happy.
Just wonderful to see it living and breathing again. Especially
when I had a little go on the comp coming back. Oh, they're beautiful. So you're puffing away and you wash you open around a bit.
It's taken £50,000 of fundraising to restore him. Now the aristocratically named Hugh Napier will become a 7-ton roving ambassador for the National Trust, or what Thomas the Tank would call a very useful engine. Rob Shelley, Wales Tonight, Beddgelert.
Well, from road to rail, and a 108-year-old steam engine which used to haul slate from Penryn Quarry near Bangor has been brought out of retirement. The Hugh Napier was taken out of service in 1954, but volunteers have restored it so that it can highlight the work of the National Trust, which owns it. Its first official duty was to take some of its old drivers on a trip down memory lane.
Gareth Williams last drove this engine in the 1940s as a teenager. He was employed in Penryn Quarry, making sure that the locomotives which transported the slate were kept spick and span. Gareth worked his way up to become driver of the Hugh Napier engine, named after the 4th Lord Penryn.
Oh, it looks beautiful now and then. Before, you know, she's dull. We used to put oil, thin oil on the rag and put it on the tank, and then it would shine for a long time then. You know, the black would just shine.
The Hugh Napier left the quarry in 1954, shortly after Gareth, and fell into a sorry state before a concerted effort to preserve it began. The restoration of this train was down to former quarryman Yrrwr Jones. It was his passion that drove the project forward. Sadly, he's since died, but other volunteers have taken his legacy on and restored this train to its former glory.
When you see an engine in this condition, when you see others that are virtually derelict, you can be very proud of what's been achieved by very few people, and the finish is second to none.
And after years of work to locate parts and rebuild the boiler, it's demonstrating its pulling power once again. Though with many passengers on board, it needed a little extra help to climb the steeper parts of the Highland Railway. When it's not being kept at Penryn Castle's Railway Museum, the National Trust will now use it as a roving ambassador for its heritage and conservation work.
Well, she's an important part of our industrial heritage. It's a key part of the history of North Wales, the whole slate industry, and this little engine, small though she may be, played a significant part in that history.
We bless this train, Hugh Napier, in the name of God, Father.
The engine received a blessing on its return to the railway line today. 58 years after apparently running out of steam, it's finally been resurrected.
Ah, beautiful engine.
Diolch. Wel, yn 108 oed, mae hen injan stêm oedd yn cario llechi o chwarel y Penryn yn ôl ar y cledra heddiw. Mae'n hanner can mlynedd ers i'r Hugh Napier godi stêm ddiwetha, ond ar ôl cael ei hadnewyddu, Wel, mae hi am gael bywyd newydd ar Rheilffordd Ffestiniog. Llyr Edward sy'r hanes.
1954 oedd y tro ola i'r Hugh Napier chwthu stem. Bryd hynny yng nghanol diwrnod gwaith yn chwarel y Penrhyn ger Bethesda. Un fy'n ei yrru dros 30 mlynedd yn ôl ydy Gareth Williams. A heddiw mi gafodd o profiad unwaith eto.
Mae'n saith yn emotional de. Cos... Dros 65 blynedd yn ôl. Yn rhywbeth.
Mi gafodd yr Hugh Napier ei enwi ar ôl y pedwerydd arglwydd Penrhyn, ac roedd yn un o sawl tren oedd yn arfer gweithio yn y chwareli yn cludo'r llechi gwerthfawr i'r porthladdoedd.
Ddim bach hwylus iawn. Codi stem mewn byr amsar. Dyma os beth chi eisiau, cerig melin, cerig bendoman, sglaich, tynnu nhw a roed nhw mewn siding wedyn.
Bod yr Hugh Napier yn edrych yn arbennig o hardd heddiw, roedd pethau'n dra gwahanol ar un adeg. Ar ôl i'w oes waith wedi ben yn 1954, fe gadawyd am flynyddoedd yn sefyll cyn cael ei datgymalu. Ond fe gafodd ei rhoi yn ôl at ei gilydd yma yn Boston Lodge, gan arbenigwyr Rheilffordd Ffestiniog. Be da ni wedi gwneud ydy roed y boiler yn sownd at ei gilydd a wneud siŵr bod ti yn iawn i ddal stem a rhoi y cwbl i gyd at ei gilydd fel bod ti'n fel mae heddiw yn beiriant sy'n medru fynd ar y cledrau yn rhywle. Yr Ymddiriedolaeth Genedlaethol ydy perchnogion yr Hugh Napier a'r bwriad ydy mynd ar tren o amgylch sioeau a digwyddiadau.
Mae'n bwysig i ni gallu wneud y gwaith yma a cofio ar adeg yma'n hanes ni. A dyn y gobaith wan wrth gwrs ydy geith i fynd allan i pawb cael ei gweld ti i nhw cael cipolwg ar yr tema bach yma o hanes Cymru. Mae llawer o'r hen drenau bach oedd yn arfer gweithio yn y chwareli wedi troi'n scrap erbyn hyn. Ond mae dyfodol yr Hugh Napier yn sicr ac mae'n dal i bwffian ymlaen ar hyd y cledrau.